Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy, budget-friendly, and delicious. Before we get started, I just want to take a quick moment to thank you. This past week, I reached 500 subscribers. I can't believe it. When I started my channel a few months ago, I honestly thought I'd never have more than 2 subscribers, and I thought those would be my mom and my husband. I'd wanted to start a channel for years, but I let my fears and my self-doubt stop me. I can't believe the love and support that I've received. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Now let's get into today's video. For dinner this first night, I am making taco rice with queso. I've had this recipe pinned for a while and I just never gotten around to making it, so I wanted to give it a try. So I will include the recipe in the description box below for this, as well as other recipes from today's video. In this skillet over about medium heat, I have some ground turkey. The recipe does call for ground beef, but I'm using ground turkey. I'm also going to add some diced onion and salt and pepper, and then just cook that until the turkey is brown all the way through and the onion is translucent. Next, I'm going to add in a packet of taco seasoning as well as the water that calls for. Give that a stir and cook that for about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to add in the rest of my ingredients. Now, for this recipe, I actually kind of messed up a little bit. The recipe calls for a pound of ground meat. I was going to half this recipe, but I went ahead and cooked the whole pound because I was going to pull out about half and save it for taco salads, and I forgot to do that. So I used the full amount of ground meat that the recipe called for, but I used half the amount of the rice and the broth. I hope that makes sense. So what you'll see here is a little bit more meat heavy than what the recipe calls for, but it still turned out fine. So I've added my rice, I've added my chicken broth. I'm going to add a little bit more salt and pepper, give that a stir, and then add the lid. I couldn't find the lid to fit the skillet, so the lid's a little large, but it's fine. And then you're going to want to cook that for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the rice is cooked all the way through. I would suggest checking on this about halfway through. You may need to add a little bit more liquid. I did have to add about another half a cup. While that's finishing, I'm going to get started on my queso. Now, you can use store-bought queso dip. That's totally fine. The recipe does include instructions for queso dip. I'm just making the recipe that I normally make, which I got from Love Missy XO. You basically just add some half and half to a small saucepan over about medium heat. You want to bring it up to temperature until it's warm, and then you're going to add some sliced white American cheese and give that a stir. Now, I've also used regular milk and almond milk. You can use basically whatever milk product you have on hand. I typically add some diced green chilies to this, but I didn't have any on hand, so I just skipped it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of cumin and salt to taste and just whisk that until the cheese is melted and you have queso. And here's the finished taco rice as well as my homemade queso dip. And here are the finished plates. So I have the taco rice, the queso, and then I added some diced tomatoes just for a little freshness. I made some quick side salads with lettuce, cheese, tomato, black beans, corn, tortilla strips, and some homemade ranch dressing. Dinner was good. I don't know how to explain this. I felt like the taco rice and queso wasn't enough to be a meal in and of itself, if that makes sense. But I feel like it would make a really great filling for tacos or burritos even. It was good. I do recommend you give this a try. For dinner this next night, we decided to order takeout from our local barbecue restaurant. We had been watching Barbecue Pitmasters like all day, and so we started craving barbecue. I ordered pulled pork with potato salad and some beans, and then my husband ordered a half slab of ribs with fried okra and potato salad. This was so delicious. Tonight for dinner, I tried a new recipe for a barbecue bacon chicken bake. This was actually really good and it was super easy and quick to put together, so I recommend you giving this a try. I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. I'm going to spray this casserole dish with some cooking spray. I'm going to add in some chicken breasts to this. Now, these chicken breasts are pretty thin. The recipe did not call to season the chicken, but I just can't do that. I have to season my meat. So I'm going to use some salt and pepper and then some of this McCormick barbecue seasoning. I'm going to season it on both sides. And then on the top of the chicken, you're going to add your favorite barbecue sauce and just spread that out a little bit. Next, I'm going to add my bacon. I'm just using some of this fully cooked bacon from Great Value. I'm going to pop that in the microwave for a few seconds and then add that to my chicken. The recipe does say at this point to put the chicken into the oven for 30 minutes and then add the cheese and cook it for another 10 minutes. I forgot to do that though, so I just went ahead and added my cheese at this point and it was fine. It calls for shredded cheddar cheese, but I had some Colby Jack slices that I wanted to use up, so I'm going to add that and then put that into the oven. Now, again, the recipe said to cook this for a total of 40 minutes. I pulled this out at 30 minutes, and it was way overcooked. It was almost 200 degrees, and chicken really only needs to be cooked to 165 degrees. So I would suggest, unless you have super thick chicken breasts, to check this after about 15 or 20 minutes and see if you've hit 165. But the chicken still ended up being really good. To go along with this, I wanted a quick and easy side, so I'm making some of this Annie's macaroni and cheese. One of my sweet subscribers, Tina, recommended this to me, and it was really good. And as always, anytime I make boxed macaroni and cheese, I do add in a slice of American cheese with the cheese packet. And here are the finished plates. So we have the chicken, the macaroni and cheese, and then on this particular day, we had went to KFC for lunch, so I had some leftover coleslaw, and I wanted to use that up, so I served it alongside of it, and that was dinner this night. This was really good, and like I said, it was quick and easy to put together, so I do recommend you giving this a try. Tonight for dinner, I'm making New Orleans pasta. This is a copycat Cheddar's recipe. In case you're not familiar with Cheddar's, they are a chain restaurant. They have the most amazing honey butter croissants. But this New Orleans pasta is one of my favorite things to get, and I found a copycat recipe for it years ago, and so I've made it for years and we really enjoy it. So let me show you how I make it. I've got this skillet over about medium heat. I'm going to add a little bit of oil and then some diced onions and green bell peppers. I'm adding just a little bit of salt here to help the onions and peppers cook down a little bit more. I'm going to cook these for about 3 to 5 minutes until they start to soften. Next, I'm going to add some cubed chicken breast as well as some sliced sausage. Here I'm using some sliced turkey kielbasa. And then I'm going to season this with some Cajun seasoning, give that a stir, and cook that until my chicken breasts are cooked all the way through. And while my chicken breasts are cooking, I'm going to get started on my pasta. I've just switched my burners here because this front burner gets hotter faster, so it's better for me to use that to boil pasta. I'm just using some of this penne pasta because I have it on hand. I'm using about 3/4 of this box, and I'm just going to cook it according to the package instructions. And to go along with the pasta, I'm going to make some of this Texas toast garlic bread. I get this at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to cook it in my air fryer on 400 degrees for about 5 or 6 minutes, flipping it halfway through. And once the pasta is done, I'm going to drain that and set it aside. And then to my skillet, I'm going to add in some shrimp. You can omit the shrimp if you don't like it. Then I'm going to add my Alfredo sauce. Now the recipe calls for homemade Alfredo. You can totally make it from scratch, but I always just use jarred in this recipe to make it quicker. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of milk and shake it up in the jar and put that in there. Next, you're going to want to add some salsa. Now I know that might sound a little bit weird, but trust me, it doesn't taste like Mexican at all. So I would suggest you add that. And then you're just going to cook that for about 3 minutes just to allow everything to warm through. And then you're going to add the sauce in with the pasta and give that a toss, and that's it. And at this point, I would recommend you giving this a try and adjust the seasoning to taste if needed. And here is the finished pasta. And here are the finished plates. Normally, I would serve this with some steamed broccoli or a side salad, but we weren't super hungry this night, so I just stuck with the pasta and the bread. But this is so good. I highly recommend you giving this recipe a try. For dinner this night, I wanted something super quick and easy. I did not feel like cooking, so let me show you what I made. I took these Great Value crinkle cut fries. I put them on a cookie sheet. I sprinkled them with some of this French fry seasoning that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I just cooked them according to the package instructions. Next, I took some of these Tyson spicy chicken patties. We hadn't had these before, but they were actually pretty good. They do have a slight kick to them. I'm going to cook them in my air fryer at 400 degrees for about 6 minutes, flip them over, and cook them for another 6 minutes or so. And here are the finished plates. I served the chicken patties on some brioche buns from Kroger that I had in my freezer that I thawed out. And then I decided last minute to do some cheese fries. So I just added some shredded cheese and bacon to the fries after they were done cooking and put them back in the oven for a couple minutes. And then I added some chopped green onions once they came out. And then this dipping sauce here, it's just ranch dressing with a little bit of taco seasoning. It makes a really, really good dipping sauce for cheese fries. And that was dinner this night. For dinner this last night, I made slow cooker creamy Italian chicken. I have a whole separate recipe video for this that I will include in the description box below, so be sure to go check that out. This is a slow cooker meal. It's quick and easy to put together, and it's really delicious. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.